Hello everyone. So today we will be discussing transactional analysis, and first of all let us discuss the learning objectives of this session. In this session we will be learning about transactional analysis, understanding the ego states within individuals, ego states and transactions, live positions in transactions, and discussing the Johari window and its implication in the organization. So, a transactional analysis is a psychoanalytic theory and method of therapy developed by Eric Berne during the 1950s. The transactional analysis refers to the psychoanalytic process wherein the interpersonal behaviors are studied. It is a social psychological model that talks about the personal growth and personal change, that is, identifying the ego states of each individual to understand their behaviors and altering them to solve the emotional problems. Mr. Byrne observed there are several people inside each person who interact with other people in different ways. And a formal definition of transactional analysis is, it is the method used to analyze the process of transactions in communication with others. It requires us to be aware of how we feel, think, and behave during interactions with others. The transactional analysis gives birth to several models that help in explaining the relationship formed between the individuals as a result of their interactions. And it mainly involves Johari window, ego states, life script, life positions, and transactions. So first of all, let us discuss about ego states. So according to this theory, there are three ego states. Our ways of being can be likened to three phases of life which we experience. How we respond to situations and stimulate the other's response in a conversation depends on these three states. So these three states are parent state, adult state, and child state. So, as it is said that the phases of life we experience. So, first is child state, in which the behaviors, thoughts, and feelings are replayed from childhood. Adult state is behaviors, thoughts, and feelings as responses to the here and now with conscious control employed. And parent state is behaviors, thoughts, and feelings copied from parent figures and caregivers as we were growing and impressionable. So basically, these ego states are developed on the basis of these three phases of our life and our responses to certain situations. The stimulations in conversations depend on these areas. How did we respond to similar influences when we were young? What past traumas did we endure? How is the other treating us? What messages are our brains interpreting and what meanings are we getting? How important is the relationship I have with this person? So these are certain factors in our subconscious mind on the basis of which we respond to the situations. So let us discuss these ego states in detail. The child state in transactional analysis is discussed two components of the child state, that is adapted and free child. This ego state builds on the reinforcements we were given when we were a child. Were you given praise often? Did your parents admonish you for certain behaviors? Was your childhood filled with happy memories or negative experiences? So these are the different reinforcements given to every child. So the adapted child tries to please others and likes to be liked, so they act in accordance with others' wishes. And the free child state can be seen as a spontaneous nature, intelligent, free-flowing, innovative, and creative in their thinking. So basically, the reinforcements for these particular aspects given to a child decides whether the child state will be developed as adapted child or free child. The parent state is an ego state that reflected on how the person's parent figures brought them up. If a stronger parent figure was a grandparent or teacher, that may have had a bigger effect on how the person feels an adult needs to respond to situations. So basically, the impressions of the behavior of the strong parent figure in our life decides the kind of parent state an individual will be having. Again, there are two components to this parent state: critical or controlling, and nurturing. Edburn believed that one way of looking at a parent state is concerning the judgments we have of others and of situations. So it is very easy, and we have seen that we are very good at making judgment about others. So all those judgments come from parent state. How a person thinks someone else should behave often comes from the examples placed on us by parental figures. So our responses are coming from these ego states. So a critical or controlling parent state may well judge others by what they should or should not do. So this is how most of the people advise, direct others that what they should do or what they should not do. So that is a critical or controlling parent state. A nurturing parent ego state would drive a person to be more understanding and softer in their approach. They would see a situation without judging, attempting to be more curious as to why a person would say or do something. So a nurturing parent always goes down to the reason of the reactions by the other person in our environment, and without judging they try to resolve the things. The adult state. This has only one component or division attached to it, whereas the child and parent state may be driven by past experiences and conditioning. The adult state considers the here and now situation. So we have seen that in the child state and the parent state, how we were brought up, what kind of reinforcers were given to us had a major impact on those ego states. But when we discuss about the adult state considers the here and now situations. Means it the individual with dominant adult state lives in present. The adult state is more open to discussion, more curious as to why people feel the way they do, has more time for shifting through data and information, is more respectful of others' opinions, is willing to collaborate and compromise, and enjoys more close and healthy relationships. So, if we talk about the nurturing parent state, that comes closer to the adult state. Not exactly the adult state, but that is closer to the adult state. So, if you can see the features of adult state, we can here identify which is our dominant ego state and in which state most often we are responding to objects, situations or people. We often find the adult state is employed when making decisions that will affect others or solving problems in a working environment. So basically when we use the word collaborate, collaborate means I win, you win. So that we will be discussing in detail in conflict handling intentions, that it is a win-win approach. So both the concerns of both the parties are taken care of. Now, on the basis of these states, there are different types of transactions. And there are basically three types of transactions defined: complementary transaction, ulterior transaction, and crossed transactions. So, as you can see in this slide, that first one is complementary transaction. So P means parent, A means adult, and C means child. So when the people in conversation are parallel to each other, so adult to adult the transaction is happening or taking place, is known as complementary transaction. Then cross transaction. So when the ego states don't match each other and can cause conflict in one way or another. Suppose in the organization, the boss orders one subordinate because I have said you have to do this. And maybe if the person to whom it is said responds it in a child stage, no, first I will complete my work and then I will see. So definitely the conflict would take place. So crossed transactions are when two uh, different ego states are in transaction. Ulterior transaction is when a person's behavior or statements say one thing subconsciously and meaning something else. So I like one of the examples given in one of the book. I think it is in Robbins or Luthan's. I don't remember exactly. But a husband was sitting on the breakfast table, and on the table he wrote for his wife, "I love you," and he showed it to his wife. So wife was happy, but actually the hidden message, one of the hidden message was that the table is not clean. So ulterior transactions are generally when we hide our real motives and we express something else. So बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कॉन्वर्सेशंस में जब हम ये कहते हैं कि इसका ये मतलब तो नहीं था, ये कुछ और कहना चाहता था. So those kind of transactions are ulterior transactions. Now coming on to life positions. So an individual develops a philosophy towards work from early childhood which becomes part of one's identity and remains with him for lifetime unless some external factor changes it. So all of us look up to our parents for different things, and that process happens subconsciously. Means we are not targeting, we are not focusing on certain behaviors and imbibing those behavior, rather it is just happening. So that is why it is said that if you want to teach your children, don't uh, preach, don't teach them, उपदेश मत दो उनको, just make them in your behavior. So if you are behaving in certain ways, your children will automatically learn those ways. These positions are called lifetime positions and they fall into four categories. The first one is I am okay, you are okay. So this life position represents adult ego of a person. Managers with this life position believe in give and take. So whenever manager may assure one's subordinates that whenever it is required, don't worry, I am always there for you. We will together make it happen. Then the second one is I am okay, you are not okay. This position represents parent ego of a person who is brought up as a rebellious child. And they want to have everything for themselves on cost of others. So managers with this life position have critical attitude towards others. Then I am not okay, you are okay. This life position represents a state of distrust in the person himself, and managers with this life position are usually not good managers because they are most of the time self-doubting themselves, and a person who is in self-doubt constantly would definitely never trust other person. And the fourth life position is I am not okay, you are not okay. So this life position represents a desperate state of persons who have lost interest in life, and managers with this life position do not believe in themselves and others, and we cannot expect any kind of productive job from such managers. So these life understanding of these life positions, understanding of different types of transactions and ego states helps managers channelize those transactions in a way so where they can induce, where they can drive the employees to be productive, to be effectively performing. So whatever we are studying and discussing, this is basically related to channelizing the individual behavior in organization for accomplishing and achieving the organizational goals. So it is aligning. So this is how the behavior of individuals become the behavior of organization. Then we come to the very important concept of Johari window. So if you understand these concepts, this can help you reveal certain truths about your own life. So majorly these are done as workshops and exercises so that it can help individuals become more self-aware. So the Johari window is the psychological model developed by Joseph Luft and Harrington Ingham. Basically, this word Johari is taken from the initials of both the person's names, Joe, Harry. This window talks about the relationship and mutual understanding between the group members. It is a psychological tool that helps an individual to understand his relationship with himself and with other group members is known as Johari window. The objective behind the creation of a Johari window is to enable the individual to develop trust with others by disclosing information about oneself and also to know what others feels about himself through feedback. So here you can see the Johari window, and there are 4 quadrants in this Johari window. So further slides we will be discussing in detail about these 4 quadrants. First quadrant is open self, as you can see here. So open self means this shows the behavior, motives, attitudes, knowledge, skills of an individual that he himself is aware of and is willing to share it with others. The open self is characterized as a state wherein the individual is open and straightforward to oneself and others about what he is doing, how is he doing, and what are his intentions. So no hidden agendas are there. Things are very open and clear. Then the second quadrant is blind self, as you can see, not known to self but known to others. So the blind self shows the state of an individual known to others but not known to him. So we can see in our peer groups that there are many people that we know about their certain behaviors, but they are blind to those their own behaviors. And how does it impact in the organization? That we will discuss further. It usually happens when an individual or a subject copies the behavior of some significant personalities unconsciously since one's childhood. Then the third one is hidden self. So hidden self says which is not known to others but known to oneself. So this quadrant of the Johari window shows the state of an individual known to him but not known to others. This is generally seen in the individuals who are introvert and do not like to share their private lives with anyone. The individual keeps his feelings, ideas or thoughts to himself and do not disclose it in front of the others. And the fourth quadrant is the unknown self. So the unknown self is even not known to others and also not known to self. The unknown self is the mysterious state of an individual, neither known to him nor others know about it. Often the feelings, thoughts or ideas go so deep down the individual that it becomes difficult for the individual as well for the other people to understand about it. Now, how does this Johari window model works? So we will be discussing 3 examples explaining the implications of this Johari window model. So the first example is increasing open area through feedback solicitation. This Johari window model diagram is an example of increasing the open area. So open area we have seen is considered to be one of the better areas where the intentions of an individual are clear to oneself as well as very much clear to others. So by how can we increase this open area? By reduction of the blind area. So blind area means not known to self but known to others, which would normally be achieved through the process of asking for and then receiving feedback. Feedback develops the open area by reducing the blind area. The open area can also be developed through the process of disclosure, which reduces the hidden area. The unknown area can be reduced in different ways: by others' observation, by self discovery, and by mutual enlightenment. So, the unknown area for self has to be reduced if you want to increase the open area. Then we will take the example 2, new team member or member within a new team. So, a member of a new team or a person who is new to an existing team, the open free region is small because others know little about the new person. Similarly, the blind area is also small because others know little about the new person. The hidden or avoided issues and feelings are relatively a large area, and in this particular example, the unknown area is the largest, which might be because the person is young or lacking in self knowledge or belief. So, when a new person joins a team or an organization, this is the kind of four quadrant are placed in Johari window for that individual. Then we will take the example 3, established team member. So the open free region is large because others know a lot about the person that the person also knows, because for a long time you are working together with all of them. Through the process of disclosure and receiving feedback, the open area has expanded and at the same time reduced the sizes of the hidden, blind and unknown areas. So in the beginning only we have discussed that the open area is better in organization because it has the clarity of intentions both for the self and the others, which helps in increasing complementary transactions. So all these models in transactional analysis are some way or the other interconnected, and by understanding these models, by applying these models on our individual selves, and by looking at others through these models, we can certainly improve on our ego states, we can improve on our transactions, we can also improve on the life positions. So this is all in this session. Thank you, and I hope this is certainly going